Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Cheryl. If you're new, welcome to the C Squad. And if you're a chain subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. Today we are back with a how I edit my videos video. I've done a video like this years ago and it was with a different editing software called Wondershare Filmora. So I'll have that linked down for you below. But today we are doing an updated one with Final Cut Pro X. So I got my MacBook with the sole intention of getting Final Cut Pro so that I could step up my editing game, and I have really enjoyed it over the last 2 or so years that I've had it. If you're a beginner with editing, I do recommend Filmora though, because it's a lot cheaper. I think it's around £60 for a lifetime purchase, whereas when I bought Final Cut Pro it was £250, so it was a really big investment, and I think the prices have even gone up now, closer to £300. So definitely, if you're not sure if you like editing or you don't have much experience, I would recommend going with the cheaper version. Another tip is before you buy Final Cut Pro, they do offer a 90-day free trial, which is so useful. It helps you get used to the software and see if you actually even like it, because if you don't, you can always go with iMovie, which is free on MacBook. So those are all of your different options. By the way, I'm a little bit sick, but I can't afford to delay this video, so we're just gonna have to work through it, but I apologize. Before you get into it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more lifestyle videos and vlogs. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So this is really gonna be a vlog style video showing you my real process for editing YouTube videos. I wish I was one of those efficient YouTubers who could sit down for like 2 hours and knock out all their editing. Unfortunately for me, it takes me multiple days. If you are a regular here, then you know that I edit every night from 5 to 7 p.m. and I also have a really handy Notion checklist for my editing. So essentially, Mondays are rough cut days, then Tuesdays I do my detailed cuts, Wednesday and Thursday are the days that I add music depending on how long the video is. I also do color correction on those days. Friday is where I add in my final touches. Saturday I proof watch the video and export it. So for a video that has about 2 to 3 hours of footage, it takes me around 8 to 10 hours to edit it. So you guys are going to be editing my nighttime routine with me. So first things first, I import all of my footage into my hard drive. So I use a Lacy hard drive. This one is 5 gigabytes. I really do live by these, so I will have them linked down below in the description box. The reason why I don't edit directly on my laptop is because I have hundreds of gigabytes of footage. It's actually ridiculous. So I wouldn't have space on my laptop, and I think it would also slow down my laptop if I did that. So I'm gonna get my footage off of my SD card. And as you can see, I like to keep everything super organized. I have my folders numbered by which number video it is. And if I'm doing a multiple day vlog, I do like to separate each day into its own folder. But since it's a night routine, that's just all gonna go into one folder. I also vlog on my phone sometimes, especially when I'm in public. So I also airdrop that footage onto my laptop, and then I also put it in its own separate folder. Now that that's done, we're gonna open up Final Cut Pro and we are gonna create a new library and save it in the night routine folder. One thing I really like about Final Cut Pro is you can create multiple events under one library, and this becomes really useful when I'm doing multiple day vlogs. I can put the video clips for each day in their own event, also put in any graphics and music in events for specific days, so it just helps keep everything organized and not get all confused. And then at the end, I just create a final event that consolidates all of the days. But as I said earlier, my night routine is really only one day, so we're gonna keep it all in one event. And within this event, I'm gonna create a new project. And I don't like to choose the settings. I let Final Cut Pro choose the settings for me because I've found that I have issues with audio sometimes. So if you choose custom settings, you can choose your resolution, but somewhere in the audio, my voice will end up becoming a lot lower than it is. And I've found that just using the automatic settings fixes that. I just copy everything from my camera and put it down into the timeline. Once I have all those clips in the timeline, I then put in my iPhone footage. Basically because I will film with my phone at different parts of the day, so it's a lot easier to put it in once I can see what actually happened throughout the day. Now, a little bit of a tip, I really recommend using keyboard commands when you're editing. It's gonna make your editing so much faster. For those of you who don't know, a command is essentially when you press buttons on your keyboard and it performs a certain action. Now the commands that I use are very different from what comes default on Final Cut Pro. I did this because I was transitioning from Filmora and I already had a set of commands that I used over there. So when I was moving to Final Cut Pro, learning new commands was just not really, it wasn't for me. I just thought it would be way faster if I just used my regular commands that I was already familiar with. So to change your commands, you can go into this Final Cut Pro and click Command Sets. So you have the default, you can customize them. So here you have all the different commands. And then I think to customize them, you just click on it and then you like press a letter. So right now H is assigned to something else, but I can reassign it to this. So some of my commonly used keyboard commands, Command Z is undo, Command Y is redo. This is typically B, but I use S to split my clips. M is to create or edit a marker. Command C is copy. Command V is paste. Command X is cut. And then Control Option R is what I use to set my clip speed, so it speeds up the clip. You might have noticed while I was adding some clips that some of my phone footage is not in the right orientation. I don't know how this happens when I'm filming with my phone. So what I do to fix that is transform the clip. So this will be 90 degrees. And then I'll use the transform button here to increase the size of that clip. And then I hit done. I will do Option Command C. And what that does is it takes whatever effects you've put on a clip and it copies that. And then you can use Option Command V to then paste that effect on another clip. If we see here, this clip has the same issue. So I can Option Command V to bring it to the correct orientation. By the way, to extend my timeline or to like zoom into it, I basically pinch out my fingers, and then to make the timeline smaller, I do this. Now in editing, you have something called an A-roll clip and a B-roll clip. A-roll is basically the parts where you are a talking head, the parts where you're saying stuff, and then your B-roll is any footage that kind of overlays that. Like if I'm describing something and I put footage over that, that's B-roll. So now this is the part where I do my so-called rough cuts. This is basically where I just go through my footage. Specifically for the A-roll, I'm looking for parts where I messed up and had to start speaking all over again, or any long pauses that I took. I basically want to cut all of that out. For B-roll, I'm just looking to take out parts of the footage that I don't think look good or aesthetic for the vlog, that just don't really fit in with the vibe. If you're doing a sit-down video, I highly recommend using Gling AI, and it has been super helpful to just like do all that stuff for me. It will take out all your mistakes, long pauses, breaths, all that stuff. So I think that really works well for long sit-down videos, but for vlogs, I just do the stuff manually. Also, I find that the more detailed I am when I do my rough cuts, the faster it is and easier it is for me to edit later stages. So this is where I go in with my handy dandy S blade tool situation and I just go and make cuts. As I go through my cuts, I'm also going to add markers for all of my speaking bits. That's gonna help me identify those parts faster tomorrow when I do my detailed cuts. Okay, so about an hour or so later and we are done with the rough cuts. So we went from an hour and 53 minutes down to 30 minutes. Tomorrow we're gonna do the detailed cuts, so I will catch up with you guys then. Okay, so we are back. We are gonna do the detailed cuts today. This is basically where I go through all of my A-roll footage in detail and make sure that I cut out any breaths or any long pauses. To be honest, this is the part of my editing process that has actually caused me to not get an external freelance editor for my videos. Every time I've tested out editors, they're not as detailed with the editing on this as I need them to be. Obviously, it's a personal preference at the end of the day, but this is just the way I like my videos to be edited. So I start out by zooming into my timeline as far as possible. I typically zoom in about this much. As I look at it here, I can even see the parts where I'm breathing and where I'm gonna cut out. So things like this. It's such a small detail that not a lot of people will catch on to, so I will immediately, with my blade tool, just take that out, or even here. Today we're back. Such a small breath, but I take that out. New, welcome to the C Squad. And if you're a Chinese subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. Today we're back. So another thing you might have noticed in my videos is I will crop into my face sometimes to emphasize a point, or I will do like a long zoom in. So on the side, we have effects. And so I have my own presets that I've saved in here. And these are basically effects that I like and that I use often that I've saved over here, so I don't have to do them manually each time. So if I want to zoom in just once, I'll double click on this. And so as you can see,
today we're back with a night routine.
I wouldn't use it like that, but you kind of get the point. So I have different levels. So that's the first one. The second one zooms in a little further, and the third one zooms in even more.
Thank you for joining me again. Today we're back with a night routine.
Once again, I wouldn't do it like that, but that's just an example. I also have a little crop out.
Again, today we're back with a night routine.
So if you wanted to do that manually, you go over here, click the arrow, and you click crop, and you select crop. You just drag this, move it to where you want it, and that's how you do that manually.
Again, today we're back with a...
If you wanted to save that as an effect to use in future videos, you hit the save effects preset over here, put in the name, and you can save it into different areas, or you can create a new category. Mine goes in presets. And then you can select the attributes that you want to copy. So would be copying the crop over here. You can also set the timing for it. I typically pick stretch to fit, and then you can save that for later use. I also have presets for Ken Burns. So I have a tiny zoom in and just a standard zoom in for longer clips. I have my total zoom out, which is for when I go on long monologues. So once again, if you want to create your own Ken Burns effect, you go here where we went to crop, and instead you select Ken Burns. It will default like this. So this goes from out to in. You can swap that around here. Another thing that I do sometimes in my B-roll clips, actually not sometimes, I do it all the time, is I go left to right and right to left. Those I created by taking these and putting one on the right side, the other on the left side, and kind of trying to match them up and make them the same size.
Today we're back with a night routine.
So I'm gonna go through all of my A-roll, cut out all the parts that I don't want, and then also add in the crops wherever it's necessary. You would have seen yesterday me adding markers for each of my A-roll clips, which is super useful because instead of going through the timeline, I can just use my keyboard shortcut, which is command and then the down arrow, and that takes me to the next marker, to the next marker. As I do this, I add even more markers to remind myself to add any text that I want to add. If I talk about a certain video, I like to add the thumbnail in. Another thing I do in my videos sometimes is fix the audio a little bit. I've been finding my audio levels are a little bit low. I don't know if I'm just talking lower than normal in recent videos. I basically select all my clips. I will increase the audio over here to about volume 3, and then I also do voice isolation, but very minimally because sometimes it can really distort your voice. Basically, it's supposed to cut out the background noise. So here's a cool feature about Final Cut Pro. If you select multiple clips, you can go into File, New, and click Compound Clip, and that will allow me to create one clip for multiple ones. It just like combines them into a single one. So if you click enter on that, you can then apply effects to that clip. So I will do Ken Burns.
Like 8,600 and something.
If I hadn't done that, that effect wouldn't work because these two are separate clips.
Oh, like 8,600 and something.
As you can see, it would have repeated the clip twice instead of just applying it to one clip. It's also really cool because you can still access the clips separately. It doesn't like permanently combine them. So if you double tap on it, you'll still have access to these, and you can break the clip apart if you decide that you don't want it to be combined anymore. You'd go here and break apart the clip items. Okay, so we are done with the detailed cuts. Tomorrow's gonna be music. I like to use Epidemic Sound for my music. This is not sponsored, but I have been using them for about 2 years now, and I really enjoy it. To make my life easier for tomorrow when I do the music, I'm gonna sit and pick out some songs. If you are a newer YouTuber and you don't want to invest money into Epidemic Sound, I'm pretty sure YouTube still has their free music library filled with copyright-free music. But if you are interested in checking out Epidemic Sound, I always list the song titles of the music that I use in my videos, every single video, in the description box, and I also have a 30-day free trial. So here's my Epidemic Sound. It usually gives me recommendations based on my YouTube channel, and then more of what I like is based on my recent downloads. Oh, this is actually a nice song. This is like the relaxing vibes that I need for a night routine. I actually like the song. On the first try. This is kind of nice too. I actually like that. This never goes that quickly. I'm usually a lot pickier. Another thing I really like about Epidemic Sound is if you like a particular song, you can actually click find similar, and then it will show you other songs that are similar to the one that you like. I'm just gonna check some of my go-tos.
Nothing seems to work on you.
You know what, for this video, I think I'd really like to show you guys how I incorporate vocals and instrumentals in my editing. So I'll download this version and then I'll also download the instrumental version. But we're all good, we have our songs selected, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so it is Tuesday. No, it's not, it's Friday. Okay, so it's Friday. We have finished the rough cuts, the detailed cuts, and today we're gonna be working on music and color correction. To be honest, I'm not an expert on color correction or color grading. I mainly do it for sit-down videos, not vlogs, and I do it very minimally. Most of the time it's just me increasing the brightness if I feel like a clip is too dark, maybe increasing some saturation if I feel like I'm washed out. Sometimes I also remove some tints. So sometimes when I film with my Sony, I end up getting a greenish tint in my videos, so I like to take that out and put more warm tones like maybe a pink. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of the color correction that I do, but I'm gonna have a video linked down below, which is where I learned a little bit of color grading technique and is also where I got the items that I'm gonna be using to do the color correction. So if we take this clip for example, if you watch his video, you'll end up downloading this titles generator card thingy called adjustment, and in there you'll have a base correction and a look grade. I take the base correction and I just take a little section of that, and then I go here into the color correction category, and I'll typically just mess around with exposure. So sometimes I'll increase the whole clip in this global section, but I mainly play around with the highlights. Then I typically decrease the midtones and the shadows. The shadows a little less than the midtones, just to get a little bit more for contrast. Then I'll go into saturation. Sometimes I'll saturate all of it in the global panel. Most of the time I typically just increase the saturation on the midtones. And as you can see, if you look at the difference, that just gives it a nicer look. But obviously for vlogs, because I do so many different shots, I don't have the energy to sit and color correct every single one of those clips. And then if I notice there's a tint, I would just think about where the tint is taking place. Like, is it in the outer parts, which is kind of the highlight area? Is it in the shadows? This is a little bit blue, so I'll probably go and take the midtones and just decrease it a little bit to take out the blue. If you go a little bit too far, that's what that looks like. But I might just do like a slight decrease. That's how the clip looked before, that's how it looks after. Another command that I use a lot is for the snapping tool. So the snapping tool is over here. Basically, it allows you to either snap your pointer to the end or start of a clip like that, or if it's off, it just allows you to freely roam without it stopping you. In this area where I have overlaid a video with my blade tool, I'll just cut that and then put it above that clip so that it matches everything. So now we're gonna go ahead and do some music. I'm gonna take these two songs. So here we have the main song with the vocals, and then we have the instrumental version. So to start out my videos, I kind of like them to be a little bit mellow in the beginning, and then as the video goes on, I kind of try and put more exciting music. So I'm gonna go through the song and find the part where she starts singing the chorus, and I'm gonna add a marker to that part. Okay, so this is really more the bridge, it's actually not the chorus, but we're gonna take the bridge and I'm gonna put a marker on that, because for the beginning part of the song, I'm only gonna use the instrumental version. For the instrumental version, I'm gonna reduce the volume just so that it matches my audio and my talking clips. And then I just start making cuts. I really try and match the cuts to the beat of the song. I think it makes it more compelling to watch. I don't know, you guys let me know whether you can really tell the difference. I also do fade in and fade out effects for the music. So if you click on your clip, you go to modify, go to adjust audio fades, you can fade in or fade out. I have commands for this. So command F will do both the fade in and fade out, and then you can actually drag these to increase the length of the fade in and the fade out. So let's go ahead and start doing the music. You guys can hear that drop there, and so I'm gonna make a cut right there. I think I'm also going to do a little zoom in, and I'm gonna go from out to in on this clip. If you see these dots, I've done an effect that needs to be rendered, and rendering just allows you to play back the clips easier. Rendering is under modify, so you can render all or render a selection. You can also set it to automatically render in your settings. It's under playback, background render. so that is the beginning part of the video. I split these clips. I don't need this one anymore, so I just cut that out. And then I'm gonna move both of these to after I'm done talking. I'm just gonna extend this clip, make another cut, and then I'm gonna do a fade out for this. I like to do it at around like 2 to 3 seconds, and then I'm going to reduce the sound of this to maybe -30 so that you can still hear the background music when I'm talking in my A-roll clips, but it's not as loud.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel.
And so we just drag that to the end. So this is the part in the clip where we're going to have the vocals come in. So I'm going to split my clip over here. Then I'm gonna completely remove the sound from that. Give this one sound, and hopefully it should transition well because we kept the clips together, so they should be aligned. So no, not that part. We want more of this part. So let's cut there, extend this a little. Okay, so that kind of sounds good. I think another thing that could help is extending this a little further and this a little further and adding in a fade. So that's where like fading in and stuff comes in handy. Also, I love the fact that obviously with Epidemic Sound, you have the choice of whether you want an instrumental or with vocals, and then you can kind of mess around and do things like this. Now we've got another part of me talking. I now need the vocals to go away because imagine if I was talking to you guys and you could like hear someone singing in the background. So I need to use the instrumentals again. And so we bring this back, we do a fade out, maybe extend the fade out a little bit. But you won't let me.
Okay, so if you're regular members of the C Squad,
and there we go. We have cut down, I think we started at almost 30 minutes. We've cut that down to just under 12, and that took about 2 hours. So we have done music and color correction today. Tomorrow we're gonna go and do the final touches of the video. So I will catch you guys tomorrow for that. Okay, so we have made it to the final day of editing. This is where I put in my final touches. I do my little pre-intro screen and just really wrap up the video and make it look pretty. As I'm sitting here, I just realized there's no way I'm gonna be able to show you every single thing that I do because I add so many different graphics, so many different effects depending on my mood and depending on the video. I'm gonna take you guys through my assets folder, which is on my Lacy hard drive. And this is where a lot of my graphics, my music, things like that stay. Most of the graphics you see in my video, I probably made using Canva. Things like my iPad template when I'm showing you guys stuff on my iPad. My to-do list, my intro screen was made through Canva. Over here, I've got some SpongeBob memes. Those I got off of YouTube. So you have two options. You can either use a separate YouTube downloader. I think if you just type in like download YouTube video, you should be able to find some links that will help you copy the URL and save it to your device, or you can just screen record from the YouTube app. I've got my math green screen. I think this is also something I got off of YouTube. And then I also have a bunch of sound effects. Some I think I got off of the YouTube music library. Some I've gotten off of Epidemic Sound. Some I've screen recorded from YouTube. So I truly don't actually know where everything comes from, but those are 3 different options that you can use to find sound effects that you need. Another thing you might see me use are some titles and what we call lower thirds, which is basically just like a small title in the corner. So back when I first got Final Cut, which was like 2 years ago, I found some Final Cut Pro plugins, and that's basically where I've gotten some of the titles that I use. I went searching through this to try and find all of the effects that I've downloaded. Unfortunately, I couldn't find all of them, but these I for sure know I have used. This is from Simple Video Making. It's totally free. They have a whole freebies section, which I will have linked down below for you guys, so you can download all the different effects that they have. Personally, I know I have this titles one, and then there's also this one, which is 10 free titles. So I have a presets event in my assets library, and this is where I keep everything that I use on a regular basis. So if you see my vlogs, I have my old date that I used to use, which lived on here, and then I revamped that one when I did my travel vlogs, and I have the same situation for my time. So this is the old time that I used to use, and then this is the new time with the little text below it. So what I'll typically do is I will just copy this, go through all my footage, and I'll just insert the date and time at the points in the video where I use it. And then because I've put my little markers here that show what I want to say, I will cut that and then paste it there, and there you go. So it's helpful because I've got the sound effect, I've got the template for my titles and all that stuff, so I don't have to do it manually every single time, which would take so long. So what I did to create that is I created a new project. So here you can see all my projects under the assets. If we go to time, and I then dropped in the text from build in and build out and just dropped in a custom title and then changed around the fonts over here, changed the size. You can also change the fill-in color, and you can use a drop tool, or you could use this. You can add an outline, and if I do that multiple times with multiple titles, I can just put them in different positions. And then what I just did is selected both clips and then created a compound clip like I showed you guys, and then saved that in the event presets. That's really my time-saving hack. This is one of the titles from that simple video making website. I basically changed the font and the color of it, and that's how I customized it for my own videos. Here's another example of my whole, when I say like, comment, and subscribe, that's also saved as a preset over here, where I've just put in the Instagram logo, put in a subscribe button that I probably got off of Google, and then just put my text over here with my name. Here's a typewriter text if you ever want to use the typewriting effect. You can also change the duration of the typewriter so that it goes faster or slower. I have presets for the typewriter. This is just the classic typewriter, and then I have mine in the font that I like to use, and then I also have one that's on the left side. There's also another website that you can use for some plugins. So here is Motion VFX. They have a mixture of free and paid for ones. So one of the ones that I have installed is the M Behavior Basic. When you see my thumbnails do that like fun come in motion and then exit motion, that's this animation preset. That basically lets you apply different effects. You can do like a bounce in, crawl in. I literally have never used some of these. So the one that I use is the Dart X in. Another thing, if we go back to the math green screen, what you can do to take out the green background is go into effects over here, and you'll be looking for masks and keying. You double click on the green screen keyer, and that just removes all of the green for you. If you've ever wanted to do the camcorder effect that I do, you can find it in video. I don't know which specific area it's in, but if you just type in camcorder, then this will pop up. For some reason, it changes with the lighting of the video before, after. I don't know why it does that. So what I've actually done is just created a compound clip that has a green background. Basically, if you go into the titles generator and you go into solids, you can bring this green screen down, and then you can apply the camcorder effect to that. At the same time, you apply the chroma screen. So it will take away the green and then just leave you with the recording situation. Sometimes I also mess around with a blur effect. This is typically for when I get people in my videos who haven't actually, you know, consented to being in them. So if I record my lecture, I do like to blur out his face. If you go into any of the effects, but I particularly do this with the blur effect, you can drag in this, choose what area you want to blur. You can adjust the blur amount, and then if you click analyze, what it's going to do is it's going to track the movement. So whatever you have selected as your object, Final Cut Pro is going to track that object and its movements and apply the blur. It's not perfect, but it does work a lot of the time. So you click analyze and it will just do that, and boom. For my transitions, I use under the movements panel the slide effect. So basically I just drag that onto the clip that I want. I also use a whoosh sound effect.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel.
Anytime I mention one of my previous videos, I always put in my thumbnail. So I've got literally all my thumbnails from the beginning of time. And here I'm talking about the essayism vlog, so I'm just going to take this one, put it down here. Usually like it to go for about this long. Then I have my dart effects that I showed you from that M Behavior pack, and I usually make it about 1 second long. And then I have under my presets, here's the thumbnail default. As you can see, it has a border. Borders you can find, I don't know where you can find them, but you can search for them over here. If you just type border, it should bring up a simple border here, which you can add, and then you can change the width and the color and all that stuff. And then you can use the transformation tool to resize it and to move it around. You can also add a drop shadow from here as well.
To South Africa and Zimbabwe in August.
So obviously we just want this effect to apply to this clip. So this is where creating a compound clip comes in handy. Jobii.
Or I went to South Africa and Zimbabwe in August, and I'm on level like 8.
Another effect that I have is the comment down below. This one I actually got off of Filmora. I made a clip using this text, and then I basically downloaded it as a green screen, and then I imported it into Final Cut Pro. So this is actually a thing that comes with Filmora. So as I've said, I use a million and one things. It is impossible for me to sit here and show you every single last one, but I've shown you as many as I can. But now together we can just go through all of my clips and add in all of my different effects. Okay, and then the last things I typically add are my subscribe animations. So these I got off of Fiverr. I think I paid around like 20 pounds or something for this guy to make them for me. I have them under presets because I've done a couple of things to them. Firstly, I've made them smaller and moved them to the corner left side. I think I've also increased the speed that they go at, so they go a little bit faster than his original animations. So because I don't want to do that myself manually every single time, I've just saved it here so I can copy this and paste it at the point where I need it.
In case you like those kinds of videos, before we get into it, please like this video and subscribe.
I've got the lower thirds one that I use
Guys, in that video, so stay tuned for that video because I have gotten a few requests for that.
I almost ended off the video without showing you guys how I do my pre-intro. What I do is create a new project and I call that pre-intro. Then I go into my presets. Over here I have my pre-intro stuff saved. So this is my old one. These were the Polaroids that I used in it, and then here's the updated one I made. To be honest, I think I'm the only one who noticed. And then I will copy and paste that into this. Then I go into my video project and I look through the video and try and find my like favorite clips from the video or clips that I think show what's in the video the best. And I'll just copy and paste my favorite clips into the pre-intro project. Okay, so I think we've got enough clips. I'm gonna remove the sound from all of them and I'm going to put my favorite clips in here. So the really nice thing about this is I've made my life a lot easier for myself. These markers basically show me at which points I want to change clips. So I need about 9 clips for my pre-intro. Sometimes I shorten it if I don't have enough footage. Okay, so I've selected all my clips. That took so long. Then I've got one of my titles, which is from the free set of titles that I showed you guys earlier. I'm gonna go with routine at the back, after uni night. I copy all of this to my main project and then I create another compound clip. I have my intro screen that I made using Canva and I just move my music to be behind that and then I move this on top of that. As you can see, you can't see the intro screen anymore, but I do have saved under my presets my custom intro screen and scale. I basically sat one day and moved this around so that I could make it fit perfectly. So I changed around the scale and the positioning. There's no one who likes my intro song more than I do. And then I added my outro, which I made using Final Cut Pro and Canva. Normally, I would do a transition and add in the whoosh, but because this is like a night routine, I think I want it to fade out. I'm gonna use the fade to color transition and I'm gonna like extend it to be much longer than my usual transitions. Okay, so that is the end of everything. We've turned a 1.5 hour video into 12.5 minutes. If I was exporting it, which I'm not going to do because I do like to pre-watch my videos before I actually export them and upload them. To export the video, once again, I have my keyboard shortcuts, but you can go here. I think it will typically for you have export file. I have saved my settings for YouTube and I don't know if I remember how to do that. I think what you do is you add a destination and then you would select export file and then you can change the settings for it. I am going to see if I can find the YouTube video because I remember it was a Think Media video that I watched and they're the ones who taught me how to create the export. So I'll link that down below if I can find it because I genuinely cannot remember how to do it. These are my settings for it if I'm filming with my Sony because it films in 4K, but for other videos it will typically be 1920 by 1080. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely go and check out my night routine to see the full finished product. Editing for me is definitely a really long and tedious process. This was a faster video because I had a lot less footage than I usually start with. So because I do a lot of things, it's really hard to show every single last thing that I do, but I hope I gave you some useful tips that you can use in your own editing. If you are a beginner, just remember it takes time to develop any skill. If you watch some of my earlier videos, I wouldn't recommend it because I don't think they're that good. I cringe out a little at my older videos because my editing was just not that good and I thought it was good at that time. 2 years from now, I'm probably gonna say the same thing. As time goes on, you just keep getting better and better at the things that you do. So don't get discouraged. At the end of the day, it's just all about creating that content and doing it as often as you can to really practice. I'm now on over 160 videos, so I have practiced a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to join the C Squad and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!